Welcome back to the No Schoolers podcast with me, Amy, and Claire. I have,
Hi,
I have three boys who are 8, 5, and 2.
and I've got two children. That is, I've got Harry who's 5 and Olivia who is 2.
Today we're talking about celebrating milestones and achievements and any sort of unexpected learning that's happened along the way, how we track progress, how home ed has actually contributed to our personal growth as well as our children's personal growth, and some reflections on our journey and looking ahead to the future. So, first, can you remember any significant milestones that happened for you?
Um, Making a decision.
Yeah, that is a big milestone, to be fair.
Yeah, and I think that that for me was the biggest thing because we knew it was the right thing to do. We just had to make the decision, and I think that's a milestone in itself. And there's probably quite a few people out there that have just gone through it too. So celebrate that. Celebrate the fact that you've made that decision to embark on the right journey for you and your family.
Yeah, definitely. But I think that is like one of the biggest milestones, especially for us as parents. That's the biggest
Absolutely.
milestone. It's like that's the deciding moment where future is gonna be changed forever, isn't it?
Yeah.
Really. So it is a big milestone. But if you look back at like Harry, is there any way that you tend to celebrate particular milestones, like how they have at school, like year leaving reception or whatever, or leaving year 2 into year 3. And I went to infant school, then junior school. So we had like a year 2 leaving and then a year 6 leaving. And do you do anything like that where you particularly celebrate milestones?
No, not particularly. I don't think we've been in the journey kind of long enough to figure out how Harry really wants to celebrate those sort of things. But he likes praise. He likes, the pat on the back, the recognition. Put my teeth
Yeah.
in. And he'll be like, if you told Daddy what happened today, you tell him. And he likes me to sort of like really beam about him and use like the really positive words and you know and tell everybody. And if I'm on
Yeah.
the phone to like my parents or something, he'll be like, did you tell them what happened today? And so he likes to hear it over and over again, and that for him is enough recognition.
Yeah.
um yeah, so that's it. That's kind of where he is at the moment. He's not used to a particular system. We
Yeah.
don't, sort of like do anything like certificates or anything like that at the moment. But there's a particular system that I think we'll follow, which he's quite keen to, with a paw print family, which we can touch base on in a bit. But that's something that he's definitely interested in.
Okay. And that's what you see for the foreseeable future.
Yeah, it's quite a nice thing to have, sort of like it. So it's a website called the Paw Print Family, and they send you, go back years ago. I mean, I'm going back when I was young. I used to get for my swimming. I used to get like a little sew on badge, and I used to
They
put it
still
on.
do them. The
Do
boys still
they?
get them. Yeah.
No,
The boys still get them. Yeah.
I
He's got
never
them
knew
up on
that.
his little dado rail because he doesn't have them
No,
on
the
sewn
sewable
onto.
ones.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And he also goes to Cubs and gets little badges on his whatever
Well,
uniform.
I used to go to Brownies and I used to
Yeah,
get
and
a
me.
sash. I've still got my sash upstairs, and that's got like all my little
All the
badges. I
badges.
mean, they're all brown and yellow and not
I
very
know.
appealing at all, but
Yeah.
we're going back,
What a nasty colour palette
30
that
odd
was.
years. Yeah, who thought that? Um, but yeah, so the Paw Print Family, it's basically a company that you can go on as anybody can do it. You don't have to be home educating to be part of them. Um, and when you've done a particular subject, Harry's about to start space. It's his kind of first project of home educating, and at the end of it, I will get a little badge, and it's just a pictures of planets planets, and it just says space, and it's just a space for him to have in his room. It's almost like a fabric shield, and you just sew them onto there and hang it on the wall. So it's just something really simple, and it's really quite cheap actually. It's literally like, some of them are pence for a badge, some of them are a couple of pound, but
Oh,
there's so many, there's hundreds.
yeah.
So
What made you choose to do space?
Harry's interest,
Mm.
he has literally he's been shown an interest now for a good couple of months. He keeps asking questions, he'll watch stuff, he's learning about a song on YouTube about space, so the order.
I bet you loved the fact that there was an eclipse then.
Oh, he's loving it.
Yeah.
And he stayed up the other night to see the Northern Lights, and he was
Oh,
interested, and he was really like, he's asking the right questions. And I said to him, should we do a project on it? And he's actually been inspired by another little girl in the group. She's doing a project on animals, and her mom sent over a picture, and she's writing in a book like a little fact thing, and then a picture. And he was like, oh, I want to do that, and I want to do it about
oh,
space. And I love that. Like, I love things like
yeah.
that. And it's a good way for him to, um, document things that he's enjoyed. And so we've
And
been
a
together.
reminder for him,
Yeah.
like, look how far you've come on your journey. Yeah.
And we've been together. We've got a scrapbook, and he's going to start it tomorrow. So he's
Oh,
really excited.
yeah.
He wants to do, like, he's been learning fun facts about each planet. So he's going to do a planet on each page with a fun fact and a drawing. And then, yeah, he's really excited.
That's so cute.
What about you? What happens in your house? Like, is there anything in particular that sticks out for you that the boys seem to enjoy?
Well, I don't. So I've read a lot of about like the studies on extrinsic motivation and giving kids stickers for doing drawing, that sort of thing. Have you heard about that experiment?
No.
So they took two groups of children
Yeah.
who both loved to draw, and they set them up with drawing stuff and just said like go and draw. And then with one group, they, for every picture that those children drew, they gave them a sticker over a period of time, and then they stopped giving them stickers, and that group of children stopped drawing, even though they were drawing in the first place because they loved to draw. The extrinsic reward of being given the sticker overshone the love for the act of like making art. So they stopped altogether because they were like, well, what's the point if you're not giving me a sticker? I'm not going to bother.
Oh, wow.
Whereas the other group just carried on drawing because they loved to draw.
Love to draw and nothing's wrong.
So I very much believe in instilling intrinsic motivation. So finding out something that they really love to do and to do it for the love of doing it, not for the reward. And I can tie all this because I think that it ties then into going into teenage years of doing things for likes on social media, doing things for followers. We don't do things for the pleasure of doing them really as an adult. We don't play.
Yeah.
We lose the play. Well, there's like the rewards in school. Everything is for a reward, isn't it, really? You've got to do this thing so that you get this mark. And then that means that you're good and that you're validated and that you're good enough, sort of thing. And that's what I don't want to do for my kids. However, Hudson is learning Spanish on Duolingo, and if that was the most reward-driven game in the history of anything learning. So I say that with a grain of salt because I'm not against all rewards, and I think that like we do things for rewards and it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to have a negative impact. It's just I want them to find their passion, and I want them to. I'm probably looking a bit too far, but I think everything is. your future adult life is determined by your childhood. So I want them to follow their passion. And I want them
Yeah.
to follow their passion because they love doing it. I don't want them to follow their passion. So Hudson got into really into video making. And then he started being like, I wonder how many subscribers I can get, how many views have I got, how many, and it's like it's not about that. It's about doing it for the love of creating. And I don't want them to go into something just because they will feel validated by doing it, but because of the outcome. I want them to be validating themselves by loving the process.
Yeah.
So that's what I try and do. That said, my two younger ones are a bit too young to really delve into anything like that, to be honest. They're just playing, they're just exploring. They love stuff, but obviously it's very different when you get a bit older. You can start getting a real focused attention on something. They start having going a lot deeper into a project. So Hudson's just starting to come into that sort of age, I think, but he's still very much play. Like he's 8. He's 9 in September, but he still plays. But he asks a lot more questions and he wants a lot more in-depth answers than
Mm.
maybe my 5-year-old who would ask a question and be satisfied by a very surface level answer because it satisfies his question.
Yeah.
Um, so we don't follow any particular reward based structures. I don't necessarily disagree with it. Um it's just not how we do. I don't want them to like with chocolate or something, like I don't want them to be rewarded with a sweet because then could that trigger um emotional eating as a coping mechanism because that made them happy. You know what I mean? But I'm probably just looking very, really too much into it, like really deep. But that's what I do. So it's,
No, and
it's,
I think that's a really good way to look at it. I've never really thought of it that way, I
mm,
guess.
I
I've
hadn't
just,
really until like coming into this
yeah,
and then shouldering all of that. I find it a massive weight on my, or just on me in general, that I have this amount of influence on them and their childhood and how that shapes them as an adult, and that really weighs heavy on me in a way that like I want to know that I'm doing my absolute best for them, but not being overbearing and giving them the freedom, but also giving them the way that I give them the freedom is by not placing importance on these other things, so that they place importance on them following their own intuition rather than what someone else has said is good. Because also art, for instance, is so subjective. Like someone told me the other day that my photos were way too sepia for Instagram and that I needed to brighten them up and make them like really, really bright. And I was just thinking, well, but that's your opinion because you are an influencer on Instagram. They weren't saying it in like a bad way. They were just like, oh, if I was you, I would do this. And it's like you're an Instagram iPhone influencer and I am a photographer that takes photos with a camera that just happens to upload them on Instagram because that's the only place that you can get free publicity
yeah,
basically. So it's all subjective, and someone that loves my photos would hate someone else's, and
yeah,
someone that hates mine would love someone else's. It doesn't mean that my art is wrong or that I shouldn't follow. That's only very recently that I have come to these conclusions and have this self-confidence, by the way. Um, it doesn't. So someone having an opinion on how you do something, whether they deem it worthy to have a sticker or not, sort of thing, I don't think that can be I don't think it can be measured in that way. I don't think it could be right or wrong. It's not like doing um like for instance, Ash is an electrician. It's not like him wiring a plug and someone him doing it with like an artistic creative flair. And then they're like, yeah, but that's gonna kill someone. That's right or wrong. Like that's you
Yeah,
can wire a plug right or you can wire a plug wrong.
yeah,
So yeah, I'd when it comes down to like I suppose that's just because I'm a creative person and I believe that every single person is creative, but that life and school drill it out of you because they don't place any importance on it. So maybe I'm weighing heavy on the creative side of things. Um, and engineering as well is quite creative. It requires an open mind and it requires to go out of the rules. And I am not a rule break. I am a rule follower. Like I don't
yeah,
like the
really.
rules, but I will follow them. I will not go down that no entry sign, and I will not jump that fence because what if I get in trouble? Whereas Ash is like, come on, we can just jump this fence and then go down there and then we can get to this. I'm like, no, we can't because there's a fence there and it says not to go in.
Yeah,
And he's like,
I'm
"No,
insane. You're insane.
nothing's gonna happen." I know we can't.
Yeah,
So I do, but I don't want my kids to be bound by, I don't know, someone else's opinions and judgments. I want them to feel satisfied that they put the work in themselves and they're happy with the work that they put in, and it doesn't need a badge to tell them that that was good enough.
yeah, yeah. Literally, just about to say that one is their efforts are enough,
Yeah, yeah,
regardless of whatever the outcome. You know,
precisely.
it's enough. If that is something that they've finished and they've completed, it's worthy. It's
Yeah,
worthy. Yeah, it's worthy of anything. Doesn't have to be given to you as a sticker.
mm,
Say you did a good
exactly,
job.
exactly.
Yeah,
And I think stickers are just changed into different things as you go if you go through life. Like I said, like
yeah,
likes or views or
yeah,
whatever. It's it turns like probably even pounds and pennies.
yeah,
I that's someone else deeming how much you are worth by paying you that much. And that's a whole other topic, but I'm trying that's something that I want them to follow their heart and their passion and
yeah,
see the reap the rewards of following their heart and their passion, because I do
yeah,
believe that following that and being true to yourself and having that self-confidence, everything else is going to fall into place and come anyway. You might as well do something that you love and not do it for a sticker. I
I agree.
but I'm not necessarily against them. Like we tried them back in, I don't know, when my eldest was probably 3-ish, because you just wouldn't brush his teeth, and then it's like, well, if you brush your teeth, you get a sticker or whatever. But now I use the whole like reason based discipline. No, it's not even discipline, it's just like, well, if you don't do that, then consequences, like, well, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
So just think about it. You know, if you want to do this thing, then go ahead, but just know that this is the outcome that's going to happen at the end. It's not me going,
Yeah.
go and sit in your room and I don't want to see your face because you've because even though, trust me, I feel like that a lot of the time sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there was a system at school that Harry would never get to the top of, and I really struggled with that because there was like a green, there was like a light system, and the
Yeah.
places would all start at the bottom at the start of the week. And because Harry only did 2 days, he'd never reach the top. He'd never be in that gold bar. And
Mm.
Harry really struggled with that because, like,
Yeah.
he would never see himself at the top.
And
And
then he's not validated, he's not good enough, he's not
yeah,
worthy. And what's that going to manifest as an adult? Not deserving, not worthy, not lovable, not enough. And
yeah,
so many of us have that inner voice that says that.
yeah,
And it can be really, really strong in some people if they haven't had I don't know. I suppose it just depends on what other areas of your life are. I mean, some people it doesn't affect them whatsoever. They can be on red and they can be like, oh, I don't really care.
Yeah, but other
But there's so
people,
much more
yeah,
that goes into it. And for some kids, it places the fear of like the anxiety that it can put into them is off the scale. Like you said, like for someone like Harry and his personality and everything that's made him up to the person that he is right now, and he's still in his very much in his first 7 years, so he's in his because there's the 7 year cycle. So like in the first 7 years of your life are where you are shaped as a person,
yeah,
as an adult. Um, so if you think he's still in those first 7 years, if he'd have had that drilled into him from four, you're not good enough. Not good enough to be gold.
that really hurts my heart.
But you're not doing that to him.
No, I know, but it is
The
happening, isn't it?
possibility of
It
it,
is.
yeah. And the amount that it's happening.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because that's a real thing. I've heard parents say that the children have to stay behind for so many minutes at break time if they don't get to the top, or if they don't get, achieve a certain level in class, they get certain amount of break taken off them, and that's not fair.
No, it's not. It's
I
not.
was never heard at school, so I always felt like that person. So even if I knew the answer, it was never enough because I never had a big enough voice.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the
Right.
case in so many children, isn't it? That they'll never get that reward, even though they know what they're supposed to be doing or what they're supposed to say, what the right thing to do is,
Mm.
because they're not heard. Like
Yeah.
you say, they're then not validated for it. They're not praised. They're not given the
Yeah.
attention that they deserve and need. And
Yeah. There's that.
yeah,
And there's also the fear of getting it wrong. Well, what
yes,
if I'm wrong and then I'm absolutely ridiculed for being wrong because all of these people around me are, I am subject to what their opinion is of me
yeah,
as to whether I fit in and then as to whether I am safe in this space,
yeah,
basically, and whether I'm rejected from the pack, sort of thing. Well, if someone speaks up, a person that's maybe like you or me that aren't as self-confident as maybe some other kids who might have been natural leaders,
yeah,
but that is also a mask for something else usually. I'd Those ones that fear getting it wrong then fear failure, because then if they do get it wrong, or if it's like the good kid, if the good kid messes up once, it's absolutely magnified because it's like, but you're a good kid and you know better than to do that. And yeah, if a kid that messes up all the time, they're just left like, oh yeah, well, what more did we expect of that person? Well, those both of those things are equally as damaging because the one who's supposed to be the good kid all the time has these expectations of them that
yeah,
are way higher than what they actually perhaps want to aspire to, or they they can't get it wrong. So then they avoid anything. They avoid taking risks or making any mistakes as an adult. So then they don't fulfill their potential because they fear taking any risk or getting anything wrong when the learning is in the journey, and the growing is in the journey of taking risks. You got to take risks in order to benefit from the potential that you can get out of it. And then equally, the person that's always judged as being naughty or never going to amount to anything, well, they've got the opposite, haven't they? Well, nobody
yeah.
believes in me. I'm not good enough. Oh, I could go on for like ever about stuff like this. I I believe so. Like I've done so much. It's only through my own personal soul searching and personal development that I've realized how fundamental all this stuff is to an adult. Every single person in this whole planet has trauma, and trauma doesn't necessarily mean something like abuse, or I mean obviously it does, but it doesn't have to
Yeah,
be defined by those things. Like I think Gabor Mate, um he speaks about trauma as childhood trauma, and he says that it's not about the event, it's how you felt whilst the event was taking place and how you perceived that particular time. So if you're in it and to you it's nothing, like if your kid loses you in a supermarket, so your 5-year-old loses you in a supermarket for like 3 seconds just because you've popped around to the next aisle, but you know, and you just, oh, just nip that, and then he's like playing with something or whatever. Not that we'd ever do that. I just mean like this is a made up scenario, but to
Yeah,
your child, if he looks around and you're not there and he's in an unfamiliar place and he feels that is going to be trauma, because then he's going to feel like I'm abandoned, I'm not safe, I'm gonna die. That's where his primal brain is going to go to, because he hasn't got that frontal
yeah,
like access to that part of his brain to rationalize, oh well, she's only just gone around there,
yeah,
like an older child or an adult would. And to you as an adult, that's just, oh, I was only there, I was just there, I could see you the
yeah.
whole time, I was just there. But to that kid, that's gonna have stayed with them because
Huge.
of how they perceived that situation. And if that's going on every single day at school as well, if you think they're going into that every single day, it's just ongoing trauma, whether we think that it's nothing on, or oh, it's just a kid calling you names or something, or don't worry about it. It's very hard when you're trying to face that every single day.
And do you know what? It's really weird that you say that about going into school, because I remember, being at school, and I was bullied the whole way through school, really. But everybody used to say to me, sticks and stones will break your bones, but words will never hurt you. They do.
Oh, words hurt more.
And they hit hard. Like
Yeah.
they proper get you. And
Yeah.
I think whether you're, you know, 2 or 3 or 13 or 14, words stick with you.
Oh, they
And,
do.
they do hurt. So, those, you just got to always be so careful, haven't you? With
Mm.
any age and any words that you say, because like you say, if you were just like, I was just round there, or we say it as parents all the time, don't we? I was only just in the toilet, or I was only just,
Yeah.
like you said,
Hmm.
but it's trauma.
Yeah.
It's huge.
And that will stay with them.
Yeah,
And it's how we deal with it like towards them, and how we validate their feelings
yeah,
in that moment, as to whether it stays with them as trauma or
yeah,
unhealed trauma, or whether they can process it and move through it and think and deal with it. But it's up to us to give them the tools.
yeah,
And it's amazing how I think being a parent magnifies that for you, like magnifies. Someone said this to me today, actually, like being a parent just puts a microscope on absolutely every aspect of you and your trauma and your childhood and your parenting and everything about you as a person. It just puts a microscope on it all and just magnifies it massively. And you have to either deal with it and change it, or like process it and actually learn from it, or you just push it down and that makes it, then just passes it on, doesn't it?
yeah, yeah.
Passes it on to you, like generational trauma. Then that's fun, isn't it?
So, personal growth for you and your
Hmm.
family, what's in your daily routine that you would do as personal growth, like personal development wise? And
It's done a lot for my personal growth as a person coming into home ed, I think, because I've had to own my decision, which has been really hard for me to do in the past, to follow my intuition and be self-confident in my decisions. I always used to have to be validated by someone else, just like we were saying, like,
yeah,
is this decision the right decision? Should I make, what would you do in this situation? But I wouldn't just look at it for opinions and for like advice. I'd be looking at it to like validate me, and like, oh, okay, well, if that person says that this is what I should do, then this is what I should do. And it's helped me in that sense. And
yeah,
also learning a lot about like how children learn and natural ways that children learn. But I think it's made it even more clear to me that we need to have our own personal space for our own personal well-being. So I always make sure that I go out for a walk every single morning without any children with the dog. And that's my time to like just get in the best frame of mind that I can and make sure that I can then my tolerance levels go up a lot. So I can deal with a lot more when I've had that person that space to myself. And my 8-year-old has started asking if he can come with me. And I feel really, really guilty when I say, do you know what? No, this is time for me because if I don't have this, I don't get any
Yeah.
space.
Yeah.
And all he's asking for is connection with me and a bit of time on his own with me and time away from his brothers. So we've started implementing an evening short walk or an afternoon short walk with just him so that he still gets that, but I also get my my time alone in the morning because if I don't get my time alone in the morning, things are I find things a lot harder. And I think that's a good model to have for them. It's all good to be honest and say, look, I need this time for me because then I'm a better parent and I'm a better person and in a better mood. And then they can follow that. And I try and meditate every day and, just try and teach them how to cope with things and put a different perspective on things, I suppose. Um, but I think it's mainly just modeling how we live is modeling personal growth because I'm constantly growing and putting a big emphasis on my personal growth. So I'm hoping that they just do as I do
Yeah.
rather than as I say in that sense, which they do, don't they? They always do that. So, what about you and your personal growth? How has it changed? How has home ed helped your personal growth?
It's made me put my adult head on.
Yeah,
Not only, does this hat need to be mom, this hat needs to be like this happy face. And, it's personal growth as a family has been huge because we're spending more time together as a family. Um,
okay.
and we've started to try, actually, Harry only had them for Christmas, but it's affirmation cards.
Oh,
And
nice.
they're really lovely. And it's just some really simple cards. And in the morning, we just get daddy to, it's something we've only recently started. We get daddy to pull a card and explain what it is. And it might be something like, I am enough. It just says, I am
Mm.
enough on the top. And we get the kids to say it and all of that. And it's really lovely. And I think that doesn't just do it for them, it does it for us too, because we're saying it.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, and we need that too.
we do.
Like, yeah.
Mm.
And when we're doing Olivia's hair in the morning and before bed, I always say to the kids, right, let's do our good words. And they look in the mirror and they'll look in the mirror and they'll go, I am strong. And Olivia was standing there, I am strong. And I am, I am beautiful. I am kind. I am good at sharing. And they are getting so good at it. And they'll just organically have these new words about themselves. And I'll go, what a lovely word. I love that. And
Oh,
and it's just so nice to hear because, you know, we can all have those days, can't we, that we feel like that we're not enough or whatever. So for them to, repeatedly say it like it's their good words,
yeah.
it's just something that we found that they really enjoy.
Oh, I love that idea.
Yeah, and it's just we've got into a habit now. We'll be doing her
Yeah.
hair and just like do good words. And she's like, I am strong, I'm kind, I'm good at sharing. And it's just really lovely. We have a bit of a laugh with it. And that's, personal development for all of
Oh,
us because it's
it is
words that we're all
big
listening
time.
to. And Stav with his business, he's quite big on personal development, so he's always read the books and he listens to the stuff,
Yeah.
and it's good. We don't do things here, like we don't have the news on, and
Oh,
that
we don't
that's
either.
massive, isn't it? To for kids to be listening to those sort of words. And I think that home ed for us has just been, it's a journey that we're on, and it's going to take us to places that we didn't realize that we could get to. And
Yeah.
I think that in itself is growth. And I just, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And that's like that, those affirmations are going to turn into their inner voice.
Yeah.
And that's really powerful. Like,
Yeah.
them keep repeating that, that's gonna go into their subconscious, and that's what they're gonna fall back on as an adult. They're not gonna think, oh no, I'm not good enough. I am not
Yeah.
worthy of that, or they're gonna be confident that they are. And that's massive. That's one of the biggest reasons why I don't want my kids at school,
Yeah.
for that inner voice to be be slowly quietened and
Dampened. Yeah.
quietened, yeah. Because at the moment, mine are still so authentically themselves and don't change themselves for anybody else. And
Yeah.
even someone at Cubs, you can tell all of the kids at Cubs that my 8-year-old goes to, they're all at school, and he isn't, obviously. He's the only one. And he made these weird noises. He loves making noises, and some of them are awful and really annoying. And we tell him that, we're like, can you please stop doing that? So it's really annoying. But I overheard someone at Cubs say to him, could you be any more annoying? he has to hear it from he has to hear it from other people other than
Yeah.
us, because obviously he doesn't really listen to us like in that way. Like, but to him, he doesn't care. He just brushes it off. Whereas for he'd have been at school since he was 5, so for 3, coming up 4 years now, well, probably 4 and a bit years now, he there's absolutely no way that he'd still be making those noises, because
Yeah.
he would have had it
Drilled.
shamed out of him. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And as much as it's really, really, annoying at
It's
home,
him.
it's him, and he's just so confident in himself. Like, I even hear him on his video games with when they all play together as his friends, and he's like, promote me to party leader, promote me to party leader. And he's always like the party leader, the one that leads the way and makes the decisions and all this stuff. And I look back on my childhood, and I think even now there's no way that I would be the one to choose a song that goes on in a car full of people that I like, say, I don't know, all of us mums went out on a night out, like on a, not that we'd go on a night out, like out in the car together. And it was like, oh, someone choose the music. I probably would now, but say like 5 years ago, even up to then, and as a right from a child, there's no way I would have been the one to choose the music, because I would have been way too worried that I would be judged for my music choice and told that it was crap.
Yeah.
Whereas he's there like, no, let me that make the decisions, because I'm so confident in myself that I want to make the decisions and I want to be the one to lead the party. And I just find that it's such a contrast, and it's so reassuring to me that it's that they are still in touch with who they are. As silly as that sounds, because it's through a video game, but it's those tiny moments that you can pick up on, that are so subtle, that sometimes are all that you can go off really in that
Yeah.
day. Um, because it's such a gradual thing that changes over time, isn't it? It's their personality being shaped very, very, very slowly.
They're
So
getting conditioned, aren't they? And
yeah, but they're not now.
no, they're
Not
really
being
not.
conditioned by the news, and they're not being conditioned by school. But I still believe in putting them into situations where they're going to encounter kids like at Scouts or Cubs or other
Yeah.
clubs. Like Harry goes to football and stuff. He's going to be around lots of kids that are at school. They still need to be able to integrate and experience lots of different types of people. But I think because they do that anyway, however, home ed kids are very different and very they socialize in a different way, it's still important that because most of the world, most of, well, at least our country, most of our adults are going to be from school background. So they're going to grow up to be schooled adults. So they're going to need to know how to navigate that as well, and being exposed to more and more different social situations, which home ed kids are really, really, really not socialized at all, are they? They the more different types of people that they
Yeah.
encounter, I think the better they're gonna be like, okay, so that group of people is like that, and then that group of people react to this thing like this, and they can, I don't mean adapt themselves and change them who they are as a person. I just mean you change who you like that meme that's like, this is you on LinkedIn and this is you on Facebook and this is you on Instagram, and it's the same woman, but it's all different pictures of her, like pictures of her in a suit on LinkedIn and pictures of her like drunk at the club on Facebook. And then a picture of her on Instagram is like her on the beach with a cocktail or something. Like all these different things are different versions of you that you put out there according to what social situation you're in.
Yeah.
And I think we do that as adults anyway. So,
So looking ahead, like where do you see yourself going with your home ed journey? What does your future look like?
um, I'm not too sure because only because you think that you've got something like really good going and you've got a routine and that, oh, they've got an interest that we can really go into and oh, that's what they're going to do. And then it just all changes and they're not into that anymore and that routine doesn't work anymore because your family, like, I don't know, something changes.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because things change very fast, my main emphasis is on them exploring their own passions, like I said, just going into whatever comes up. And I find that that always incorporates all of the subjects anyway, all of the main subjects that you want to cover.
Yeah.
And just make sure that they stay true to themselves and feel safe to explore who they are as a person, as a whole person, not just for their education. Like, I mean, life is learning and we don't ever stop. I think if you do stop, you stop growing. So life isn't fulfilling then. And I just want them to continue their love for learning and their self development, really.
Yeah.
So, where do you see your home ed future?
Who knows? Um, I just ask myself the questions: are my kids happy?
Yeah.
Are my kids happy? Are my kids healthy? And are we enjoying this? And if the answer is yes, who knows where the future's going to take me? You know,
Mhm.
I- I'm hoping that my future is going to take me to live at the coast and hear the sea every day, and that's it. Like, I just want to enjoy life with the kids and follow their their interests and what they want to do, and that might change. Well, it will change. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know where the future is, where the future, is guiding me. And one day the kids might turn around and say, actually, Mum, I want to go to school. And,
Yeah.
and yeah, it'd probably break me a little bit. But I really don't know. I really don't know. But the kids are happy, the kids are healthy, we're enjoying it. And that's all that matters. As a
It
family,
is.
we're on this journey and we're here for the long haul, I hope.
Yeah.
you know
Mm.
and they're learning, we're learning at different rates in different things, and that's okay. And I'm here for it. And yeah.
Yeah, you just keep changing with how they change. And I think things just organically change most of the time, don't they? If you can
Yeah,
change with them and go with the flow, then yeah.
I think home ed is everybody's individual journeys, isn't it? Everybody's got their
Yeah.
own story, we're all writing it, and we don't know how it's going to look at the end. But does that really matter right now?
No.
No, we're all here to help, support, and to give each other that encouragement, and we'll just keep on writing the story.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's, at the end of it, we'll have still happy and healthy kids.
Yeah. And that's all that you could wish for, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for sharing, Claire. As always, it's been a pleasure. And
No, thank you. Thank you for your time.
we'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, until next time.
Until next time.